She sobbed in court. I only cheated because you ignored me. So I played the secret recording. Then her lover testified, and the judge called her out for performing. I never thought I'd find myself in divorce court at 33 years old, sitting across from the woman I thought I'd grow old with, until I watched her crying on the stand like she was auditioning for an Emmy. I'm Ethan, born and raised in Colorado. I work in IT, not the flashy kind, mostly setting up networks and doing the kind of tech work that makes people's eyes glaze over. I met Qley during a volunteer cleanup after a flood hit our area. She was kind, funny, and had this grounded energy about her. Or so I thought. We dated for a year, married for 4. The last 2 years were rough. Little things became big arguments. She said I wasn't emotionally available. I thought she was overly dramatic. We started growing apart, but I was still hopeful. Until I found a hidden phone in our bedroom closet. Not hers, at least not the one she always had on her. This one had an Instagram account logged in under a different name. Lots of private messages. Lots of flirty texts. And one particular thread with a guy named Chase. That one hit me like a freight train. The timestamps showed they'd been talking for over a year. Long, emotional messages. Some pictures, too. Let's just say not the kind you'd want your spouse sending someone else. I confronted her that night. She didn't deny it. Instead, she screamed at me for spying. She flipped the whole thing around like I had invaded her privacy. That was her game. Always. When cornered, go on offense. I moved out the next morning and filed for divorce 3 days later. I didn't want it to go to court. I was hoping for mediation. But Qley? She went scorched earth. Claimed I was emotionally abusive. Said I manipulated her and isolated her from her friends and family. Even said I'd hacked her phone and planted evidence. It was surreal. The court hearing was held in a downtown Denver family court, Judge Renshaw presiding. I remember sitting there, watching her walk up in a modest gray dress, hair tied back, makeup lightly done for that innocent, I'm just trying to survive look. And when she started crying while describing how I allegedly called her worthless and used her like a maid, the courtroom went silent. Even the bailiff looked uncomfortable. The drama was so intense, you could hear gasps from the people waiting for their own hearings. But here's where it turned. I had that hidden phone. Not just the messages. I had taken a video of myself discovering it. A full recording of me scrolling through it, timestamped, including me reacting in real time. My lawyer submitted it. When Judge Renshaw allowed it into evidence, Qley's face dropped. She actually stood up and said, "That's private. That's not legal." The judge calmly told her to sit down and said, "You claimed it was planted. If it's your phone, that's relevant to the case." That moment was wild. And then came the kicker. My attorney revealed we had subpoenaed Chase. He was scheduled to appear the next day. Qley visibly shook. I watched her blink hard and grab a tissue like she was preparing for round 2 of tears. You'd think we were filming a courtroom reality show. But in that moment, sitting across from her, I didn't feel vindicated. I felt numb. This was the woman I wanted to build a life with. And now, here we were, performing for a judge. Would you have pushed forward in court, or settled quietly, knowing how public and dramatic it was about to get? The next morning, the courtroom was fuller than usual. Maybe word had gotten around about how intense our case was. A few attorneys from other rooms even peeked in when Chase walked through the doors. He didn't look like the villain I expected. No smugness, no defiance. Just a lanky guy in a wrinkled button-down who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He sat down nervously, glancing at Qley, who refused to meet his eyes. My attorney, Ms. Draper, started calmly. "Mr. Taylor, are you in a romantic relationship with the respondent, Qley Harper?" He shifted. "Yes. I mean, we were. It was on and off. We didn't think she'd actually go through with the divorce." The judge raised his eyebrows. Qley's lawyer objected, but it was overruled. And that was when Chase dropped a bomb. He didn't even know she was still married until 5 months into their relationship. She had told him she was separated and dealing with the paperwork. He looked betrayed on the stand. "I thought I was helping her heal from a toxic marriage," he said, glancing at me. "Now I'm wondering if I was just part of the performance." Qley looked like she was about to cry again. But this time, no one was buying it. When it was her attorney's turn to question Chase, the strategy was clear: discredit him. "You said you were dating on and off. Isn't it true you had your own relationship issues, and that your recollection may be clouded?" But Chase didn't flinch. "Yeah, we argued. Because she kept lying. Said her husband was spying on her. Said he threatened her. But honestly, I've seen the texts now. He never did those things. I was manipulated too." Gasped from the gallery again. The judge called for quiet. Then came the hardest part, Qley's second wave of testimony. She tried turning everything around. Claimed she was suffering from untreated anxiety. Claimed the affair was a reaction to years of neglect. I was just looking for someone to listen. Someone who didn't treat me like a burden. And you know what? That part hit me. Because during our marriage, she did say that often. That I wasn't emotionally present. That I brushed her off. I'm not perfect. I did bury myself in work. I did get distant. But what she did wasn't therapy. It was betrayal. It was manipulation. She had every chance to talk to me. She chose lies instead. Judge Renshaw listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. Didn't roll his eyes. Just took notes. Then he looked up and asked Qley directly. Did you ever inform your husband you were unhappy in writing, or suggest counseling before you started a relationship with Mr. Taylor? Her voice wavered. No, but I tried. He didn't listen. He nodded slowly. Trying and doing are two different things. The courtroom was silent again. That moment was oddly sobering. Not explosive. Not dramatic. Just still. Because the truth was finally landing, and even she knew it. After court adjourned for the day, I passed by Chase outside. He nodded at me. Said, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know. I appreciated it. I really did. But there were no winners in this story, only survivors. Have you ever seen someone lie so convincingly, you almost believed them, even when you knew the truth? The final day in court didn't feel like a resolution was coming. It felt like waiting for a storm to hit, even though the skies looked calm. You know that eerie feeling where it's too quiet? That's exactly how it felt when we all sat down in that courtroom for the verdict. Qley showed up wearing all black. It almost felt symbolic, like she was dressing for her own funeral. She didn't make eye contact with anyone, not even her lawyer. Her whole vibe was different now. Gone was the shaky, tear-filled voice. Gone were the dramatic gasps. It was like she knew the performance was over. Judge Renshaw entered the courtroom with a thick folder of notes. No jury, just him and us. I've reviewed all submitted evidence, heard the testimony, and considered the emotional toll on both parties, he began. His voice was calm and measured, but every word felt like it echoed through my chest. He started with asset division. Based on the financial evidence, including proof of infidelity, the concealment of a secondary phone, and Mr. Harper's documented earnings, I am granting him 70% of the shared assets, including the house and savings account. Mrs. Harper will receive the car and a portion of shared possessions to be itemized. Her lawyer didn't object. Qley didn't even flinch, but I could see the way her hand tightened around her purse strap. This was hitting. Then came the real kicker. Regarding the emotional damages and allegations of abuse, there is no sufficient evidence to support Mrs. Harper's claims. In contrast, Mr. Harper submitted verifiable recordings and messages confirming ongoing deception and intentional misrepresentation of marital status. Judge Renshaw continued. I also find it disturbing that Mrs. Harper engaged in performative behavior on the stand while attempting to undermine legitimate evidence. Therefore, I am ordering that she pay partial legal fees incurred by the petitioner. A murmur spread through the room. Her lawyer whispered something to her. She nodded, calm, still composed. But it wasn't over. The judge paused. Then he said something I'll never forget. Divorce court is not theater. And yet, time and time again, people treat it like a stage. Tears on cue, accusations for drama, and stories tailored to gain sympathy. But facts do not bend for performance. They remain. It hit hard. Because it was true, not just for my case, but for every twisted story we'd all overheard in that hallway over the last week. Court was adjourned. I stayed behind, needing a minute to breathe. Chase had already left. My lawyer gave me a small smile and walked out. And then, it happened. Qley approached me. For the first time in months, she spoke like her old self. Not crying, not defensive. Just quiet. I never meant for it to get this far, she said. I thought if I leaned into the emotions, the court would see my pain. I looked at her, confused. Even if it meant lying? She blinked hard. I didn't think I was lying. I felt abandoned. I needed someone. Chase was there. I didn't say anything. What could I say? Then she asked, do you hate me? And you know what? I didn't. I just felt sorry for both of us. For what we could have been. For how far we'd fallen. For the fact that she couldn't just be honest. I don't hate you, I said. But I can't ever trust you again. And that's enough. She nodded. Walked away. No drama. No tears. Just silence. That was the last time I saw her. What would you have done if you were me? Forgiven her? Or walked away like I did? I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.